Hey everybody, and welcome back to De-JOE-tional. I took a few weeks off for vacation, and we had wrapped up our previous series on If God is Love, Don't Be a Jerk. And I have a new book that I read a couple years ago. Excuse me. I've read it a couple different times, and I've been hesitant to lead this because I'm not really sure how some people are going to take it. And then I realized those are exactly the people that need to hear it. So, it's a self-help book, but it's not your typical self-help book. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up. I bought this at Target by Mark Manson. I bought this at Target in February of 2020, and I read through it like in a couple days. I loved it. Highlighted all kinds of stuff. And I thought, man, this is good advice for anybody. And I highly recommend that you get it. He does use some inappropriate language, of course, as the title would suggest. But if you got to get past that. He only uses it pretty bad in the first couple chapters, and it kind of tapers off. But he does it for a couple different reasons. One, like I said, I bought this at Target. And if you're walking by Target and you see this, you're going to stop and you're going to look at it. I mean, it catches your eye, right? How many of you, as soon as I picked this up, saw this mess instead of reading the rest of it? So it catches your eye. So it gets you to pick it up and see what it's about. Secondly, it's just good. There's nothing sugar-coated in here. He speaks his mind. He speaks it how he speaks, and it's just down to earth. It's just really good. So I encourage you at some point. I'm going to read a lot of it, so you may not have to get it, but I encourage you to get it. If I'll tell you this too. If this or the fact that I'm even doing this series is causing you to lose your mind and freak out and stop listening or stop watching, you need this more than anybody. Why? Because it's all about not caring about the stupid, minimal things. In our world today, we tend to focus on just some little stupid stuff, and we get all worked up about it. How many times have we have our kids have come to us just whining and tattling on somebody about something? And you're like, why do you care? Why do you care? I had a student one time come up to me and say, "Oh, Mr. Leonard, Bobby took 2 tissues instead of 1. Okay. We're not in a tissue crisis. There's a full box there. There's more on the shelf. Why do you care?" And I wasn't that blunt with the student. I mean, I was nice about it. But I did want to try to figure out why he cared to the level that he cared. It's just tissue. It's not like, he was hurting himself climbing up on top of a desk or running with scissors or doing anything like that. It was a tissue, right? So we tend to focus a lot on the tissues of our lives, and we get upset and overworked and mad at the little things. So I'm just going to start reading some excerpts from this. I am not going to read his language. I'm going to tiptoe around a lot of the stuff, but I think you guys are going to enjoy this. I know, I like I said, I read it a couple years ago. I started to do a youth series on it in March of 2020, and then we all know what happened there. I did week 1, and then week 2 we were shut down for COVID, and I didn't get back to it, but I've read it a second time, and now I'm reading it for a third time because I enjoy it that much. This, to me, is a life-changing book. Seriously. It's full of great advice, especially for people that are stressed and are filled with anxiety about stupid stuff. So, this is not your typical self-improvement book. A lot of times we look at self-improvement and success as if they occur together. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same thing. Okay, here's reading from the book now. Our culture today is obsessively focused on unrealistic, positive expectations. Be happier, be healthier, be the best, better than the rest, be smarter, faster, richer, more popular, more productive, more envied, more admired, be perfect and amazing. But when you stop and really think about it, conventional life advice, all the positive and happy self-help stuff we hear all the time, is actually fixating on what you lack. It lasers in on what you perceive your personal shortcomings and failures to already be, and then it emphasizes them for you. You learn about the best ways to make money because you feel like you don't have enough money already. You stand in front of the mirror and repeat affirmations saying that you're beautiful because you feel as though you're not beautiful already. You follow dating and relationship advice because you feel that you're unlovable already. Ironically, this fixation on the positive, on what's better, what's superior, only serves to remind us over and over again of what we are not, of what we lack, of what we should have been but failed to be. After all, no truly happy person feels the need to stand in front of a mirror and recite that they are happy. They just are. So the problem is we care about those things more than we need to. There's nothing wrong. The problem is that caring too much about those kinds of things. I got lost for a second. So, rewind. So the problem is that giving too many cares, and he doesn't use the word cares. The problem with giving too many cares, it's bad for your mental health. It causes you to become overly attached to the superficial and fake, to dedicate your life to chasing a mirage of happiness and satisfaction. The key to a good life is not caring about more, it's caring about less. Giving cares about only what is true and immediate important. It's not about caring, not the level of care that you're giving something or to things. It's the number of things that you're caring about and giving a higher level of care to. Some things are more important than others. Then he talks about, and excuse this, sorry, but the feedback loop from hell. So, here's what it is. You get anxious about confronting somebody in your life. That anxiety cripples you and you start wondering why you're so anxious. Now you're becoming anxious about being anxious. And now you're doubly anxious. Now you're anxious about your anxiety, which is causing more anxiety. That's the feedback loop from hell. Here's the problem. Our society today, through the wonders of consumer culture, and hey, look, my life is cooler than yours, social media, has bred a whole generation of people who believe that having these negative experiences, anxiety, fear, guilt, etc., is totally not okay. You remember when you were younger and you or a friend broke an arm? I've talked about this before. Broken arm? You wore that cast to school proudly, man. That was your badge. Everybody, hey, what'd you do? How'd you break your arm? It's so cool. Let me sign your cast. We have a tummy ache or something else hurts in our bodies. We go to the doctor, we get treated for it. And we're not afraid to share that. But when we experience anxiety, fear, guilt, other mental issues, we are told and taught that it's not okay. If you look at your Facebook feed, everybody's having a great time. They're going on great vacations. They're getting new cars. People are getting, wait, is that my Facebook? No. They're going to weddings. They're doing this cookout. Everything is great. What they don't talk about are the doctor's appointments and the health issues and the weight issues and money issues and all that kind of stuff. Everything is just great. And it just shows you how not so great your life is. We know everybody's pretty much the same. Now, if you feel bad, if you have anxiety, if you have fear or guilt, you start Googling images or memes of things. You are bombarded with images of totally happy people. They have amazing lives. And it's when you do that, I mean, they're supposed to make you feel better, but they actually make you feel worse. And that's the part that gets us in trouble. We feel bad about feeling bad. We feel guilty for feeling guilty. We get angry about getting angry. We get anxious about feeling anxious. And then we wonder, what's wrong with me? Here's what nobody realizes about all of that. The desire for more positive experiences is itself a negative experience. And paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience. The more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become, as pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place. The more you desperately want to be rich, the more poor and unworthy you feel, regardless of how much money you actually make. The more you desperately want to be pretty and desired, the uglier you come to see yourself, regardless of your actual physical appearance. The more you desperately want to be happy and loved, the lonelier and more afraid you become, regardless of those who surround you. The more you want to be spiritually enlightened, the more self-centered and shallow you become in trying to get there. In the short amount of time that we have on earth, we are given a limited amount of cares to give to things. And if we go around caring about everything and everyone without a conscious thought or choice, then we're going to miss out. We're going to care about stuff that's not important. When we care too much about the little things, when you give those things more time and attention than they need, then we are perpetually entitled, we're perpetually entitled to be unhappy. It's a sickness. So here's some subtleties that Mr. Manson gives. There's 3 of them about what not caring as much as you do actually looks like. Not caring does not mean being indifferent. It means being comfortable with being different. There's no such thing as not caring. If you had a conversation with somebody about something important you find is very important and they say, I don't care. Okay, well, that doesn't mean they're indifferent. They just don't give it the same amount of care that you're giving it. I'm going to be honest with you. Gas prices right now is one of them. I don't care. I know they're high. They're going to be high for a little bit. And then you know what? They're going to be low. And then they're going to be high again. It's just how our world works. It's just how things are. We don't go to as many places. We combine some of our trips and our errands and things like that. But you're not going to see me put a sticker on a gas pump or put a mad face on Facebook. Gas price. I mean, it is what it is. Sorry. So, I care. I just don't care as much as some other people. Because it's impossible to not care. You must care about something. It's part of our biology to always care about something. And therefore, the question is, though, what do we care about? What are we choosing to care about? And how can we not care about what ultimately does not matter? Overcoming adversity, the willingness to be different, an outcast, a pariah, all for the sake of one's own values. The willingness to stare failure in the face and shove it right back at it. The people who don't care about adversity or failure or embarrassing themselves or messing the bed a few times, the people who just laugh and then do what they believe in anyway because they know it's right. They know it's more important than they are, more important than their own feelings and their own pride and their own ego. They say, I don't care, not to everything in life, but rather to everything unimportant in life. They reserve their cares for what really and truly matters. Friends, family, purpose. Because of that, because they only reserve their cares for those big things, people care about them in return. Mr. Manson writes, because here's another sneaky little truth about life. You can't be an important and life-changing presence for some people without also being a joke and an embarrassment to others. You just can't. Some of the best people in the history of our world, Jesus Christ even, people made fun of him. People embarrassed him. And yet he was absolutely life-changing. Subtlety number 2. I'm going a little long. I'm sorry. To not care about adversity, you must first care about something more important than adversity. So he writes here, I once heard an artist say that when a person has no problems, the mind automatically finds a way to invent some. I think what most people consider life problems are really just side effects of not having anything more important to worry about. It then follows that finding something important and meaningful in your life is perhaps the most productive use of your time and energy. Because if you don't find that meaningful something, your cares, your focus, your attention will be given to meaningless and frivolous causes. Subtlety number 3. Whether you realize it or not, you are always choosing what to care about. That's a lesson that I have given many times to our youth, is that the only thing in this life you have 100% control over is your attitude. Now, there are many things in life that are going to try to affect your attitude. There are negative things. There are positive things. There are just so-so things. Sickness, health, finances, school, jobs, friends, family, whatever it is. Things are going to do their best to affect your attitude and your mood, but you ultimately are the only one that has 100% control over how you react and respond to that. You have 100% control of your attitude. And maturity, I'm quoting him now, maturity is what happens when you learn only to care about what's truly care-worthy. So this book, it's a guide of suffering and how to do it better, more meaningfully, with more compassion and more humility. This series is going to be about moving lightly despite your heavy burdens, resting easier with your greatest fears, and laughing at your tears as you cry them. This series will not teach you how to gain or achieve, but rather how to lose and let go. It will teach you to take inventory of your life and scrub out all the most important items. It will teach you to close your eyes and trust that you can fall backwards and still be okay. It will teach you to not care as much about the little things At least it'll teach you to try. Man, I am looking forward to this. As you can tell, I love this book. I absolutely love this book. So that is week 1, chapter 1 of The Subtle Art of Not Caring as Much as You Do About Things, which is what the title was when I did it for the youth. I look forward to doing this. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to next week. With that said, blessings, Godfrey first.